Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Gemini for July 2016. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, check out my Astrology Apprenticeship program that's enrolling in July, and if you'd like to bust out of the geographical confines of your income, then check out my Creating Successful Online Business course, which is also enrolling in July. July is a mega month for action, which is why I'm launching my programs in July, and I recommend that you capture this amazing energy of Jupiter being retrograde for a while, gaining momentum, Mars finally being retrograde, Mercury being retrograde, and many trines, which are favorable angles that are lighting up this month like the 4th of July. So I'm going to talk about this more later when I talk about these general transits, but first I want to talk about something specific for Gemini energy. First important to note is to figure out where in the Gemini spectrum you are, because an early degree placement can have a very different chart and therefore a very different energy for the month than a late degree placement. It looks very different. So early degree placements are from the beginning of the sign, like the 20th, 21st, 22nd, through really basically May-born Geminis are the early degree placements, or 0 to 9 degrees if you're watching for your rising sign. Middle degree placements are June 1st through June 10th, or 10 through 19 degrees if you're watching for your rising sign. And late degree placements are June 11th through the 20th, and those are later degree placements, or 20 to 29 degrees if you're watching for your rising sign. So the cluster of personal planets tends to move around, some of them in close proximity to each other, and it's like having a party in the field of experience that they're moving through for you. So we've got Venus and Mercury and the Sun and the new moon in this like a planet party pile. And that is moving through for the early and middle degree placements into your second house. Some of the middle and the later degree placements in July, you still have this very strongly in your first house. And this planet piled party is coming to your second house soon, but not just yet. So let's talk about what the second house looks like. I'm calling it bling and things because it's like things that are expensive, but it's also just material things in general. And it also is, by the way, the relationship with the earth and the environment and living sustainably. So it's interesting when we look at the dynamic or the range of potential of Taurus energy, because, and the reason why this is Taurus energy is because the second house rules Taurus, and this bunching for you is in the second house. So this energy of the second house, this energy of Taurus, it's the material plane. And the material plane is every bit as much our interactions with Mother Earth and living sustainably as it is having opulence and being very focused on making it in the material world, so there are going to be different experiences along that range of expression for different people at different times. But that's what's being highlighted right now. It's earned income. There is a massive opportunity for earned income to increase with this congregation of players, pretty happy players too, in your second house. It says finances, material possessions, your relationship with things, the earth, the living sustainably. It's also your value system. And it does very directly have to do with your income very often, or laying a foundation for future income. So there's a huge focus there, and a new stream of income can come in, new opportunities can come in. The rest of the middle to late degree placements, you still have this burst of energy in the first house. And the first house is all about your physical body. It's about your self-esteem. It's about your confidence. It's about how you're putting yourself out there. If you have to take pictures now or in the future for like a website or for something important, or if you're a model, this is a wonderful time when there's all this energy in the first house. It's very much about you and people looking at you, and some people don't feel comfortable with that. But when this energy is there, it's a good time to take pictures that you might need later. Specifically like July 1st, when Jupiter and Venus get together, there's this beautiful expansion of everything Venus, so this is just like, there's a nice aspect between them is what happens, and it's just enhancing everything. So if you have to take some good photos, then this month would be really great for that. it's just very much about you, you know, what you need, what you're putting out there. It's a really amazing time to update your wardrobe, to get a new haircut because you've got, or any kind of hairstyle, because Mars has been retrograde for a long time, and Mars rules scissors, and scissors cut your hair, and so it hasn't been the time to get a new hairstyle. But now in July, it's like this zesty, energetic boost to everything about your physicality and your presentation. So take full advantage of that because it's a really fun energy. So these are the shorter term transits. The planets that are closest to us, when they move around, they're not wherever they're moving for very long. You know, they pass in and they pass out. That's why they're really nice to talk about in the monthly horoscopes, because where they are 1 month, they're very likely not going to be there the next month, or if they are, not for long. You know, they pass on very quickly. So there's a longer term transit that I want to talk about involving Jupiter, because I love Jupiter, and because Jupiter is expanding and bringing opportunities and growth and luck and benevolence. And Jupiter was retrograde for most of the year, and it went direct in May. But at the time it went direct, Mercury was retrograde, Mars was retrograde, and this energy of moving forward with everything Jupiterian, or the house that Jupiter was in for you, was a little bit sleepy. You know, it's like things were sparkling, awake a little bit, but there was still this sleepy retrograde energy because Mars, which rules your oomph, was still going backwards. But now in July, Mars is direct, Mercury's direct, Jupiter's direct, so Jupiter, whatever it's doing, it can do it better. And that's why I want to talk about it this month. So very, very early placements, like beginning of the sign and 0, 1st, 2nd, you know, just very, very early placements. You're starting to have Jupiter affect the 5th house. And this is what's coming for the rest of you. But it's not, and you might feel it. Sometimes you feel these things come a little bit before time. So Jupiter in the 5th house is a super fun transit because it expands everything 5th house. And the 5th house has to do with your creativity. It has to do with children. If you are wanting to have children, if you're having trouble conceiving or carrying, this planetary transit can assist you with that. So many people are going to find out they're pregnant from this transit, and especially how it might be hitting off in their chart. If you're not trying for that, then look out, because it makes you more fertile. So it doesn't have to be baby energies, it can be creative baby energies. So if you're a person who doesn't want to have kids, that's not your thing, you're not on that path, creative projects can be the focus here. Or even if you do, maybe you're pregnant or your partner's pregnant and you have a creative project going. Usually when Jupiter's involved, it's not just one front, it's all fronts, because Jupiter is super excessive, you know? Okay, so expansion to creativity, to children, to fun. This is the house of hobbies and pleasures and fun. This is also the house of romance, and it's called the house of true love. And there are some astrologers that believe that your chance for meeting your true love is magnificently expanded when Jupiter, the great expander, is moving through your house of true love. And I agree. So if you're looking for that person, then your magnetism for that person does increase during a transit like this. And the transit, once it gets to you, lasts about a year. Something else important to note about manifesting and creating anything is that there is a law of the universe that says you can only create what you're a vibrational match for. So if you have been looking for your person, trying to find your person, draw your person, and doing rituals, trying to pull in your person, and it's not happening, either it's not the right time, and or you're not a vibrational match for that person, for that which you want. You have to go through and make yourself a vibrational match for that which you think you want. And you can do that, and you have to do that through inner work and accountability. I can't tell you how many times I will have personal sessions with people, and they have a list of, I want a partner that this, and this. And when you look deeper into it and you ask the question, am I all of those things? Then maybe not, and that's why you're not pulling it in. So you've got to shift that in order to be magnetic to that. The Presence Process by Michael Brown is one of my favorite resources for that. It's very inexpensive. You can find it on Amazon. You can also use good old emotional freedom technique, which you can find tons of free resources on the internet, videos and written typing scripts and stuff. So any problem that you have that comes up in your life, there is a solution for it. And if you are finding that you're having trouble creating something, you have to look within. So all of you except for the very early placements are still going to have Jupiter expanding your fourth house. Jupiter's job in your fourth house is to take your home and family energy up to the next level. So if you want to be in a bigger house, this is one of your best chances. If you want to downsize because you're not feeling free by your major mortgage, this is one of the best times. All real estate things, interior design things are very much supported by Jupiter in the fourth house. Jupiter in the fourth house can also increase your count in your house. You could be up roommates or people moving into your house. It could expand the amount of people in your house. You could have people marry into your family and have more family. You know, it's very supportive to your home and family space. The fourth house is also one of the water houses, which rules your emotions and your intuition and your childhood. So this could be a very, very powerful time for going back to heal some things from childhood that are holding you back now. And that would be really great use of the energy. Also working on your intuition and your quiet, compassionate connectedness to all things. Jupiter in the fourth house can really support that. So these are the things that are specific for Gemini. And now I want to get into why this month is one of your best months in the whole year for action and why you really need to capitalize on that while you can. So I call this month Sugar and Spice because the way that the energies of Cancer, which are like smooth and sweet, come together with the energies of Leo, which are spicy, it reminds me of a recipe, a favorite recipe that I put together myself called Sexy Peach Pie. I haven't talked about my Sexy Peach Pie in a while. I think it's been years since I've mentioned this. But the month just feels like that to me because there's honey and the peaches in the pie, and that's like the sweet, sultry Cancer energy. And then I put cayenne pepper in it, enough to notice. And that is the Leo, the spice, you know? And so this is the overriding energy of the month. One of the most important things to know about this month for everyone is that this is a time to act. Unless, of course, your intuition says something otherwise, because you always have to have your intuition supersede what general energies might be. But this is the first month since March that we don't have influence from Mercury retrograde. Mercury's retrograde phase long past, and we don't have that to look at until August 10th when the shadow period starts again. And Mars has gone direct as of June 29th. So we are still in the shadow period of Mars retrograde, which means that Mars, which rules your oomph, your zest, your get up and go, how you use your energy, Mars is still a little sleepy. But it's direct nonetheless. So if you have been waiting since March to launch a bunch of things like I have, July is a wonderful time to do that. It's not as clear in some ways as the last 3 weeks of October, the whole month of November, and just the beginning several days of December, because that next window of time for action is when we don't have any personal planet retrograde influence or in shadow period. And that period of time, October, November, December, like once we're about a week into October, the rest of October, November, and the beginning of December, is the first time in the entire year of 2016 that we don't have influence from a personal planet being retrograde. Personal planets are the ones that are closest to us. So specifically, we talk about Mars and Venus and Mercury because those are the ones that go retrograde. So you have a window of time here to act. And I have 3 reasons why I feel like this is a time to act unless you're intuitively led to do your launches in the fall, in which case that would be fine too. The first is because we're not having to deal with Mercury retrograde. The second is because Mars is sleepy, but Mars is direct. The third is because there are amazing aspects this month. There are just so many glorious aspects. Many of them are trines. Trines are 120-degree angles, which are considered to be the most favorable in astrology as far as smoothness and easiness and flow. So we've got trines between personal planets, which last like a couple of days. And then we have trines between a personal planet and some outer planets, and those last, you know, more than that, like maybe a week or so. And then we still have a carryover from the big dog trine from last month, the last week in June, where Jupiter and Pluto had their final convergence. They've been dancing in and out of this configuration since fall of 2015. So you still have Jupiter and Pluto, these outer planets. When the outer planets move into any kind of convergence, the effects of that connection last for a longer period of time because these planets take longer to move. So they're kind of just like locked in a configuration. And even though the most powerful time of the energy has passed, it's just recently passed and you're still very much feeling it. So trines on all levels. There's a couple of dicey spots this month, one on July 11th and one on July 16th. Both could possibly be jarring aspects with Uranus. So you kind of expect the unexpected around those times, jolting news, jolting information that comes in. But the predominating energy of the month is really smooth, time for action, time to move forward. Another day to pay attention to, or the days around this day, is July 19th, when we have the full moon at 27 degrees of Capricorn. Full moons bring fullness, completion, fruition. Sometimes something comes in that you've been hoping for, or something wonderful happens so that you're emotional in a happy way. But sometimes the emotions are stressful, or stress or drama. So the energy is focused around Capricorn, and Capricorn rules father figures, authority figures, your work, your career, your life purpose. So there's possibility that a lot of smiles and recognition could come in from this fullness, but there's also the possibility of attention being brought to a work issue or, something that's been pending, that's been stressful. If you have anything with a father figure, with an authority figure, with someone at work, especially an authority figure situation at work, my recommendation is to work out the charge around that situation as much as possible before the full moon. Sometimes full moons bring things that we could not have anticipated, and it's just kind of like, what? Where did that come from? But sometimes it's like the coming to a head of something that's been pending. So if you know that every time you see a certain person at work, there's like a bad energy between you, or that you get irritated or stressed when you see them, you can do energy before the full moon to work it out within yourself. And one of the best tools that I have found to do this, and it works powerfully, I've done this at workshops where people who don't know anything about the book I'm going to recommend did this exercise and they had amazing effects. It's from a book called The Marriage of Spirit by Leslie Temple Thurston with Brad Laughlin. And these are wonderful people, and this book is amazing, amazing spiritual tool. The exercises in section 2 give you this way to work out a problem that's on your mind, where it's like a mental exercise, but then it's also a spiritual exercise. And you'd be surprised at what you can clear on your own without even interacting with someone. So the more you can do that before these points of fullness, the easier possibly they could be. So at the end of the month, we've got a series of nice aspects with the planet Uranus, bringing creativity and genius and surprises that will likely be positive. The ones on the 11th and the 16th are those kind of unwelcome surprises usually. But when that planet is in a positive aspect, usually it's like something comes from the blue that's pretty cool. So something that is going on, that is pending for us to be discussing again, that I'm just going to bring up now, even though it doesn't actually go direct until August, is Saturn in Sagittarius. Saturn moved into Sagittarius and started, and this was last year, or actually at the end of 2014, it's been ongoing, and then it moved forward, and then it moved backwards, back into Scorpio, and so it's been going on. But since March, Saturn has been retrograde. And when it's in retrograde, it's more working on things in the backdrop. But then once it moves forward, which will happen in August, it's time to start bringing those things back into the forefront. So here are the two things I recommend involving Saturn and Sagittarius. The first is to understand that Saturn in Sag wants to help you bring about your big dreams into reality. Saturn is the taskmaster. Sag is the big thinker. They're not in an easy aspect with each other generally, or in a resonance with each other, but they can be very helpful to each other because they provide this important counterbalance. So whatever big dreams, big goals, destiny, something that just seems maybe even unreachable. Like if someone asked you, what is it that you really would like to do if you had all the resources and the wherewithal to do it? Those kind of big dreams. Saturn wants to help you in the time that it's in Sagittarius to create those big dreams. But what Saturn's going to say you have to do is to work hard and to be disciplined and to get efficient with your energy. That's a higher version of the energy of Capricorn. The lower vibration can be just kind of addicted to work and work for the sake of itself. But the higher vibration of Capricorn, which Saturn rules, which is why it's involved here, is that it wants you to work smarter. And this is a theme that I've been talking about for a while, and I'm going to keep talking about it because this is part of our evolution if we choose to accept it, where we work smarter instead of harder. We might also work a little harder, but we wind up working smarter. So if you figure out the dream, get clear about it, then make a timeline about what would have to happen in order for you to get there, and then break it down into measurable steps. So if you want to be a filmmaker, right, you would have to first get a good camera, right? Maybe you need some training. Maybe you need to be able to take trips to the places where you want to do filming. Maybe you need to have a screenplay. Maybe you need to, whatever it is. So get the big dream in your mind. Think about the things that you would need for creating that, and then keep breaking those down into what you have to do every day to get to the big dream. And that's what Saturn wants to help you do. So here in July, right before it's about to go direct, be thinking about this so that you can have your plan ready. So these are the general energies of the month for everyone. And if you would like some assistance in using these energies and the ones that are more specific to your chart, which I can't see in the general horoscopes, then check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com. You can see more about my personal coaching. You can also sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community and get the write-ups that I talk about with more detailed explanations of the aspects and what planets are involved, etc. And definitely check out, if you're interested in learning astrology and you resonate with how I teach, my Astrology Apprenticeship program will be enrolling in July, and my Creating Successful Online Business program will be enrolling in July. And I have lots of self-development programs on my website as well, and my blog. So go to anniehelpsyou.com, and I hope you have a wonderful month. See you next month. Bye.